happy, happy, happy. Thursday, the week is almost over. Just right down the hill, just one more day. One more day, one more work day. If you work the weekends, hopefully you get some form of a weekend. With that being said, kind of got myself onto a Twitter debate with someone. Bless their little heart. And I do mean that sincerely. But I'm not going to go over that debate because I don't want to call this person out. Just that I had a debate and it kind of struck my creative ideas to kind of talk about some of the issue that's coming in Austin. And I would read you a news story. But however, the news story I want to reference is behind a paywall. Content is only available to subscribers. Get the unlimited digital access. $1 for 6 months. Subscribe now. And I am not a fan of the Austin American Statesman, also known as the Austin American Spaceman. The best I could do is a tweet from the Austin Statesman, I should say. Austin strategy to buy hotels and turn it into housing for people experiencing homeless has hit a snag. The city can no longer afford it. City Hall insider, Austin is struggling with a plan to turn hotels into homeless homes. The city leader says they haven't abandoned the idea of converting hotels into shelters, but has said doing so has gotten very expensive. And there is no other story that's kind of talking about this. They're talking about a bond, which we should vote no for. That's really all it is. I mean, Austin nonprofit pushed for $300 million affordable housing bond, which is now $350 million. So homeless people could live the best life that they can while we slave away at a job that we may or may not enjoy. Hopefully you enjoy your job. Because if it's a job that you don't enjoy or get some benefit from it, you should definitely go work somewhere else. But with that being said, there's nothing I could really report on other than the city can't afford homes for the homeless. And there's a lot of people in Austin that said that this was a foolish idea, but they went ahead with it because, gotta help the homeless. And the issue that most people have is the housing first issue. Now, I can only talk about my personal experiences because I've really never been homeless. I always had a home. Now, when I was younger, I did kind of go out of Austin, living with strangers, per se. And I am very grateful of that because that was an experience I got to live. And it probably humbled me. It probably directed me in a position to have certain opinions about things. But I've always had a home in Austin. I've always had a house here in Austin for about 20 years, even when I decided to go couch surfing or home surfing at strangers' expenses, which I do appreciate. But we've told Austin that we cannot be buying up hotels or motels twice the price as a viable option because housing first doesn't solve the issue. The only difference between a homeless person on the street and someone living in a hotel room is that they're living in a hotel room. Now, yes, that is shelter. And yes, they're probably the person that's living in the hotel room probably appreciates not living on the street. But that's not the issue here. The issue is you're taking people from home, they're homeless, or as this person said, the unhoused, and giving them a home without fixing the underlying issues of why they're homeless. Now, I'll continue to say that there's many paths leads to homeless, someone being homeless, and each one of those paths require a different approach. A one size fits all is not going to fix it. Going back to my experience in the military, I actually had free housing brought to you by the government. Now, yes, I was sacrificing for that. It was a semi even trade, as they would say. But when I was deployed in Iraq, there was a period where we actually had mobile homes. And then as we were transitioning from being in Iraq back to Kuwait to head home, we were in tents. Now, these were the military tents. If anyone's been in the military, you know what the 50, 25 to 50 person tent looks like. They're field tents. We had a bunk on one, bunks, not bunks, cots. Every 4 or 5 feet, you have your supplies, or what you want to call them, your gear underneath the bunk, sleeping bag, and it worked. It worked because it we made it work, and we could do something similar with the homeless. Now we can have sheltered tents. They don't have to be tents. They could be a building that's open that has bunks in them, bunk beds. But we also need the resources to address the issues on the individual level. We need counselors there to interview the people to make sure that they're getting the help that they desperately need. Because that's the only way we're going to solve the issue is having a specialized shelter just for the homeless, not like the woman's battered shelter. Similar to that, but just for homeless people. We could have a male version, a female version, even a version for family. And we need to give them the help that they need, not the help that they want. And just giving them the house is not going to solve the issue. That is no difference than when you're cleaning and you see a small little pile of dirt, so you not open up the rug, but you lift up the rug and you sweep it underneath. That's no different. The only difference is we're not seeing homeless issues or the issues that homeless brings onto the street because we hid them in a building to where they're not getting the help they need because no one's helping them because they're not in a sheltered, they're not in a controlled environment or a structured environment to utilize the gift that they're getting. And part that frustrates me is that this is all being done by taxpayers, being done by people like me that pay property tax, and they're living the best life that they ever lived, where I have to really think about spending habits that I may or may not have. Do I have enough money to afford property tax next year? What do I need to do in order to afford that? Do I hit my safety nets to pay for property taxes? Or will I have enough saved over? And I do have a very small spending footprint when it comes to most people. Think I probably spend maybe a couple $100 every not 6 months, but every 2 to 3 months on personal items, whether it be ammo or tools or materials to build a shed. And right now on my shed, in case anybody's wondering, I have the arches built. All of them are built. I am just waiting for the Texas heater to be turned off. And when I mean turned off, I mean around anywhere between 85 to 95 to where it's actually doable to go out camping and build a foundation and put the arches up. I'm actually waiting for cooler weather. And I may or may not film it. It may have pictures, and I'll just walk through the process. But that being said, I mean, housing first, policies have always failed, regardless of which city you go to. Pretty much any of the cities in California that's trying to do the housing first have failed. In Washington State, it's failed. In Portland, it's failed. In Austin, it has failed. No, I get that it probably helped some people, but some people is not good enough for me. I want to help the majority of the people. I want my taxpayers to be able to help anybody out there that wants to get help, and can only do that in a structured place like a shelter. And maybe once they get their life together and actually put in the work, we could reward them with a house. Well, when I say a house, I mean an apartment complex or a hotel room. And they continue to make strides to where they can move out and be productive members of society. With that being said, leave a comment down below on what your thoughts are. Do you agree with me that we shouldn't do home housing first and we should have like a structured shelter that has the resources that people need to get medicine that they need, to get drug rehab that they need, to get financial courses to help them save? Or should we just house them all and hope for the best? Leave a comment down below what your thoughts are. Smash the like and subscribe button on any and all of the platforms or just the platform you're currently watching. But most importantly, have yourself a wonderful day, morning, or evening.